Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a new day of movement meditations. Hope you're having a good morning so far. Today we're going to do a classic classic Feldenkrais lesson, but with a bit of a twist to it. I've named the lesson Looking Back, and obviously that fits in with the theme that I've been kind of on this week. Starting off with looking up and then looking down and looking left and right yesterday. I guess what I'm kind of leading to this week is that, looking involves more than just the eyes, and really is a whole body movement. In the lessons that I've been teaching, it's been about how you can incorporate more of yourself into a movement. I hope you've been enjoying those so far. I've enjoyed thinking about them and teaching them, and hopefully today's lesson will be just as good. So what I'd like to do to begin with is just to take your head and rotate your head to look to the left very gently. So you're just going to rotate your spine, let your eyes come to the left, and just see how the neck feels as you turn. And then once you've done that a couple of times, do the same thing. Turn your head to the right. And just feel how that feels this morning. And then a couple of times, maybe just go back and forward. So go between the left and the right and just feel which side of those is easier. I'm not sure if I freeze when I do that, but I'm just checking that it's live in the group. Yes. Okay, so let that go. And then what I want you to do is just for a second, think about looking behind you. So of the two directions that you turned your head to look to the side, which of those felt easier? And if you were to think of looking behind you, what side would you pick? What would be the easier side? So what am I going to pick? I'm going to pick to my right. So as I look back behind me, then my body needs to move in order to facilitate that. So it's not just the movement of the neck. So that the neck's got a certain amount of range. Okay. So what I want you to do is just initially begin to turn your head, and let's pick the right direction. Turn your head, but a few times as you're turning your head, allow your right shoulder to very gently come backwards. And just do it a couple of times. As you turn your head to the right, let your right shoulder come backwards. So you can see that those two things are joined together in some way. And, what we've kind of looked at in previous lessons is that obviously as the right shoulder goes backwards, the left shoulder must do something opposite. Okay, and then just come back to the middle and just check your head turning to the right and see how that goes now. Does it turn more comfortably? How do you feel about it? Has that developed slightly just by, bringing the shoulder into the movement? Good. So just for a second, just stay in the middle. And then very gently keep your eyes and your face in the middle and take your shoulder backwards a few times. But imagine that as you're taking your shoulder backwards, that you're turning to look behind you. So you're going to use your imagination to think that, with your right shoulder, that you're actually turning your body to look behind you, but you're leaving your eyes behind. Good. Okay, and then come back to moving the head and moving the shoulder together. And you can feel how this, involves the whole side of the neck on the right side as you turn backwards. Good. All right, take a rest. And then just very gently turn your head once or twice to the right. Just see how that's developing. And then try once or twice turning your head to the left. So you can feel all this kind of movement in the top of the spine and how comfortable, how well it turns as you move your head in that direction. But maybe you feel that, there's a difference now between the right side where the shoulder in some way doesn't get in the way of the movement and the left side where the shoulder in some way does get in the way of the movement. So let's work very gently on the left side for a few minutes. So what I want you to do is as you turn your head to the left, begin to take your left shoulder backwards at the same time. So the left shoulder is going to move backwards as if you were going to look round behind you. And you take your head round to the left. And you let your left shoulder just move backwards at the same time. And maybe you notice a difference between the right side and the left side. So it's often the case that we've got a side that feels easier. And this maybe corresponds with the lesson yesterday to do with the organization of the left of us and the right of us. So if we've got a dominant hand, we've got a dominant side, we've got a dominant side of the brain, a dominant eye, dominant foot, then maybe the differences in the side kind of, are palpable or tangible as we go through a movement. So just notice for yourself, as you turn to the left, what differences do you feel than when you tried it to the right a second ago? Good. And then just stay in the middle. And a few times, just take the left shoulder backwards, leaving the head and the eyes in the middle. So just feel that the left shoulder can move backwards. And at the same time as the left shoulder moves backwards, the shoulder blade of the left shoulder slides towards the spine. And you can feel that it's kind of like moving backwards. So it's like the shoulder structure at the back of the body, it's moving backwards towards the spine. And if you think about that in terms of the rotation, that's obviously facilitating a rotation. Kind of, if you've ever seen an ice skater and they're twisting, obviously when they've got their arms out, they're twisting slower. But when things come into the middle of the body, they bring everything in during the ice skating turn, then everything gets faster and faster and faster. So you think that, when we're spread out, we're slightly less efficient in turning. And when everything is organized exactly in the middle, turning is a lot easier. So you can think that the shoulder, if you're taking your left shoulder backwards, that your left shoulder blade is doing that same thing. It's coming into the midline, making rotation slightly easier. Good. And then take the head back, turning to the left, and let the left shoulder come backwards. And just see how that feels now. You may feel some other things in the way that maybe you didn't feel on the other side. So as you go back, it's like, where are the roadblocks? Where can you feel the roadblocks in your body? Good. All right, come back to the middle. Just take a little rest. And now think for yourself, as we did at the beginning, which direction, if you had to pick a direction in terms of turning to look behind you, which direction would you pick now? Would it be the same as before? We've done both sides, but we've done the left most recently. So you feel for yourself, as you kind of feel into yourself, which direction would be easier? And would that in some way correlate to which side of you can come more into the midline to allow that easier rotation? Okay, so I'm going to pick the right again, even though I've just done the left, because that feels like a comfortable movement to me. The left, there's some sticking in my ribs still. Okay, so the next thing I'd like you to do is just to take your shoulder backwards, and so let's do it to the right again. Take the shoulder backwards and leave the head looking somewhere over to the right. So I'm not going to be able to demonstrate and talk you through this, but if you just imagine that you've got your right shoulder slightly backwards and you're looking over to the right, okay? Right shoulder backwards, looking to the right. Okay, and then as you're there, just stay in that position. Find a comfortable position that you can be in to stay there. And then very gently close your eyes and bring only your eyes back to the middle, back to the midline, back in front of you. And then swing your eyes between where you were looking over to the right and then back to the midline. And just do that a number of times. So your eyes are closed, your body's turned to the right, your right shoulder's slightly backwards, your eyes are looking to the right, and then with eyes closed, swinging your eyes back to the front and then over to the right again. Yeah, one of the reasons that when you kind of look at Moshe's lessons, one of the reasons that he gives for this movement is that as you turn your body to the right, there's some part of your body that's kind of being advised to move back to the middle, to come back to equilibrium. So by moving the eyes back to the middle, you're essentially kind of, giving that instruction to the body that you're doing that. So try that a couple of times. Let your eyes come back to the right where you're looking. And then just bring the whole lot back together, taking your shoulder, your head, your face, and your eyes over to the right, and just see how that feels now. At the same time as you do it, think about the right shoulder blade. Feel how the right shoulder blade is kind of moving towards the spine as you turn. Good. Okay. Now what I'd like you to do is take your right hand and place it behind your back. Take your left hand and place it on your stomach. So the left hand is in front of you and the right hand is behind you. Okay. So that's a twisted position of the arms to be in as well. And then I'd like you to continue taking the right shoulder slightly backwards as you take the head and the eyes to the right. And feel again that even though the right arm is behind you, you can have some sense that the right shoulder blade is moving into the midline of the body. And you could think about these kind of ice skaters as they're bringing their arm and they're kind of getting themselves ready for their, really impressive spin. That they're bringing themselves into the middle, into the midline. Again, you can notice what happens on the left side of the body as you turn to the right. Good. And then leave everything in a turned position again. Leave everything in a turned position. And just stay there for a second. And see if you can find a comfortable spot for yourself in that position with your arm behind your back, your left arm in front of you. And then very gently with your left arm, begin to stretch out and reach a little to the right. So the left arm is going to come around and reach a little tiny bit to the right. And maybe at the same time, you could reach with your right arm a little to the left. Okay, then relax that. And then just take the head over to the right again, and a few times bring the eyes back to the middle and over to the right. So you're going to have your right shoulder backwards, your arms relaxed, your face turning the right, and your eyes coming back to the middle and then over to the right again. So I'm going to do that with you this time. So you do that a number of times and then come back to the middle. And just before you bring your arms out, do your arms feel more comfortable now? Do they feel that they can rest in that position, the right arm behind you, the left arm in front of you? Has that become more comfortable? And then bring them out. Give your right shoulder a rest. When you're ready, take your left arm, place it behind your back. Okay. Take your right arm, place it on your stomach. And then a few times, just begin to look to the left. Look to the left. And as you look to the left, you feel that the left shoulder comes back. And then stay in a comfortable position to the left, feeling that you can keep your face turning to the left and your left shoulder slightly backwards, as if you want to look behind you. And then very gently begin to elongate your right arm out to the right and your left arm out, your right arm to the left and your left arm to the right. So this is a complicated movement. This isn't easy. You've got to feel that the shoulder blade on the left side really kind of comes in towards the spine. Good. And then just stay there for a second. Let your arms relax. And in that position, just begin to bring your eyes back to the middle and then over to the left again. So just do that a number of times. Good. And then bring everything back to the middle. Let your left arm out of the back of you. And just feel your arms comfortably in front of you. Very gently take your left shoulder back and just look to the left and see how that feels now. Can you look behind you now to the left? That's certainly become possible for me. And then just look to the right a couple of times. Look to the left. And where's the roadblocks now? So there's one last thing that I want to do just before we finish. So this is part of a slightly longer lesson, and I'm not sure we have time to go into the full aspect of it. But what I'd like you to do now is just sit in the middle very comfortably. And in fact, let's do some more work with the eyes. So if you bring your eyes and you turn to the right, so just your eyes, and then at the same time, as you bring your eyes to the right, what I'd like you to do is begin to move your weight over to the right side of your pelvis. So you keep your eyes looking to the right. Your eyes are looking to the right, your eyes are closed. And then you just move your weight over to the right side of your pelvis and then back to the middle. And just do that a couple of times. Feeling that there's some movement in your lower back, in your pelvis, in your ribs. Keep your eyes to the right and just move very gently over to the right side of the body. Good, and then come back to the middle. And now take your eyes over to the left and just leave them over to the left, somewhere comfortably over to the left, and take your weight over to the left side of your pelvis. And maybe you think, like, what has this got to do? What could this possibly have to do with turning and looking behind me? Why would I want to be moving my weight to one side of my pelvis or the other? But we'll see in a second as we do it. So now what I'd like you to do is swing your eyes from one side. So over to the left, take your weight to the left. Swing your eyes over to the right, take your weight to the right. And just do that a couple of times, following the movement of the pelvis with the eyes. Okay, and now what I'd like you to do is cross over the directions. So as you take your pelvis to the left, you're going to look to the right. And as you take your pelvis to the right, you're going to look to the left. And just do that a couple of times. Do it with your eyes closed. Just swinging your eyes as you're taking your pelvis in this alternate direction now. Good. Come back to the middle. And then think about looking behind you again. If you wanted to look behind you now, would you pick a different side? And would it be the same side? What would feel easy? What would feel comfortable? So I feel a bit braver now. I'm definitely going to pick the left side, even though I don't know, maybe the right side feels better. But I'm confident that my left side is feeling pretty capable after that. So just try it for yourself. See which side would you look backwards. And in some way, has this kind of movement of the pelvis and movement of the eyes had an effect on your ability to turn in this way? And would that have something to do with that principle of bringing things into the midline? So obviously I can't see you, so I can't see how well you're turning. I assume you're all turning beautifully. If you want to let me know in the comments, that would be great. If you feel there's another step that you want to take, then you could very gently, as you're turning to the right, just push down with your left foot. Push down with your left foot as you're turning to the right, and as you're turning to the left, if you want to do it after the lesson, just push down with the right foot as you're turning to the left. And just feel how that movement of pushing the foot can help all the way through the body, one side and then the other side. And you just feel you can turn, you can very comfortably turn to look behind you. So that was looking back. I hope that was interesting. It's probably one that's worth chewing on, and probably one that I would want to teach again. because there are a number of ways that you can look at that lesson and approach it. And yeah, it's got a kind of like Moshe uses it a lot. It's in his ATM book as well. This kind of principle of like how you turn. Yeah, I hope that was interesting. I will be back tomorrow, 11 o'clock in the morning. I think it's Friday tomorrow. I hope it's Friday. Yes, it is. And then on Saturday, I'm teaching a full Feldenkrais lesson to do with how we kind of move in the direction of self-regulation. We feel more comfortable in ourselves, let our system relax after maybe a long week. And that's at 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, UK time. So if anyone's interested in that, please give me a shout. If you enjoyed the lesson, please put in the comments down below. Let me know how you found it. I'm always very grateful if you can share it. And my previous lessons are in my Facebook group. Okay. All right. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.